It is the most significant forensic puzzle of the 21st century, a virus that shut down the world. Yet its true origin remains a classified secret. Was it a freak accident of nature, or a catastrophic human error? For years, the world was told one story. But as declassified documents emerge, a darker possibility is taking shape. The search for Patient Zero has led us to a high-security lab in the heart of the outbreak. Today, we strip away the politics to examine the raw evidence of the COVID-19 origin. Prepare yourself. The official narrative began in December 2019 at the Wuhan seafood market in Wuhan, China. It was initially believed that the virus jumped from an animal, possibly a bat or a pangolin, to a human host. But there was a major problem with this forensic timeline. Investigators found that some of the earliest confirmed cases had absolutely no connection to that specific market. This suggests the market wasn't the birthplace of the virus, but rather a superspreader event where it exploded into the public. So, where did it actually start? Just 8 miles away from that market sits the Wuhan Institute of Virology. This lab is world-renowned for studying the exact type of coronaviruses found in bats. Forensic researchers noticed that SARS-CoV-2 possessed a unique furin cleavage site. This is a specific genetic feature that makes the virus incredibly efficient at infecting human cells. This specific feature has never been seen in this particular group of natural coronavirus. To some scientists, it looked like a genetic fingerprint of laboratory manipulation. For months, anyone who mentioned the lab leak theory was silenced or labeled a conspiracy theorist. But in 2021, the intelligence community began to take the possibility seriously. Reports emerged that 3 researchers at the Wuhan lab became so ill in November 2019 that they required hospitalization. Their symptoms were reportedly consistent with COVID-19. If the virus was already circulating inside the lab before the market outbreak, it changes the entire history of the pandemic. It turns a natural disaster into a potential man-made catastrophe. Let's look at the gain-of-function research. This involves taking a natural virus and making it more contagious or deadly to understand how to fight future pandemics. Documents revealed that US-funded organizations were working with the Wuhan lab to study bat coronavirus. The goal was noble, but the safety protocols have been called into question. A lab leak doesn't mean the virus was a bioweapon designed for war. It could have been as simple as a tired researcher making a mistake or a faulty ventilation seal. However, the Chinese government's refusal to share raw data from the early days of the outbreak fueled global suspicion. They scrubbed the market and silenced the doctors who tried to sound the alarm. Dr. Li Wenliang, who first warned about the virus, was detained for spreading rumors before he eventually died of the same disease. His death turned him into a symbol of the struggle for truth. Forensic ecologists have searched thousands of animals in China for a bridge species that carried the virus from bats to humans. To this day, not a single naturally infected animal has been found. In previous outbreaks like SARS in 2003, the animal source was found within months. The fact that we are years into this and still haven't found the host animal is a massive forensic red flag. Some argue that the virus was so perfectly adapted to humans from day one that it likely didn't spend time evolving in another animal. It arrived ready to kill. Skeptics of the lab leak theories say that zoonotic spillover is simply how nature works. They point to historical pandemics that arrived without any lab involvement. But the proximity of the world's leading coronavirus lab to the epicenter of a new coronavirus outbreak is a coincidence that many find impossible to swallow. In 2023, the US Department of Energy and the FBI both concluded that a lab leak was the most likely origin, though they stated this with low to moderate confidence. The shift in tone was massive. If it was a lab leak, why was it covered up for so long? The answer might lie in the billions of dollars tied to global scientific funding and international diplomacy. Admitting to a lab leak would mean admitting that the very people hired to protect us from pandemics might have accidentally started one. The liability would be astronomical. Investigators also found that the Wuhan lab's public database of virus samples was taken offline months before the pandemic began. It remains offline to this day. What was in those deleted files? Could they hold the genetic code of the progenitor virus that eventually became SARS-CoV-2? Some scientists believe the virus was created through serial passaging. This is a process of infecting animals repeatedly until the virus evolves to be hypercontagious to humans. This method leaves no clean genetic scars, making it look like a natural evolution. It is a forensic cloaking device that makes lab-made viruses look natural. The investigation is further complicated by eco-health politics. Many Western scientists who dismissed the lab leak early on were actually working with the Wuhan lab themselves. This conflict of interest has cast a shadow over the entire scientific community. We are left wondering who to trust when the experts are investigating themselves. Meanwhile, the virus continues to mutate, leaving the original patient zero further and further behind in the genetic dust. Time is the enemy of any forensic investigation. There are also reports of unusual activity around the Wuhan lab's perimeter in October 2019. Cell phone data suggests a temporary lockdown or a security event took place weeks before the first cases. Was this the moment the virus escaped? The lack of transparency from the local authorities makes it nearly impossible to verify these digital breadcrumbs. We must also consider the possibility of a hybrid origin. Could a researcher have been infected in a cave while collecting samples, unknowingly bringing a natural virus back to the city? This middle ground theory satisfies both sides, but it still points to the same conclusion. Human activity brought the virus to Wuhan. The search for the truth isn't about blaming a specific country or person. It's about ensuring that we don't repeat the same mistakes that led to millions of deaths. If we don't know how it started, we cannot know how to prevent the next one. The origin mystery is the most important security question of our time. As we analyze the evidence, the scale of the mystery only grows. Every answered question reveals 10 more that have been buried under layers of bureaucracy. The investigation into COVID-19 is a fight for the future of science itself. Can we handle the truth? If it turns out we were the architects of our own destruction, the files remain open, and the world is still waiting for a definitive answer that might never come. But the evidence never truly disappears. It just waits to be found, as long as there are missing files and silenced voices. The case of the COVID-19 origin will remain the ultimate forgotten clue. The evidence is a tangled web of genetic code, political secrets, and human lives. It is the defining investigation of our generation. If this deep dive into the world's biggest medical mystery opened your eyes, make sure to support the channel by hitting that like button. Subscribe to stay updated as more declassified evidence emerges. We want to hear from you. Given the forensic evidence, do you lean toward a natural spillover or a laboratory accident? Let's talk in the comments below. Every theory, every lead, and every voice helps us piece together the puzzles that the world wants to forget. Don't let the truth be buried. This case is still developing, but the search for answers goes on. Thank you for watching. Until the next investigation, only here on Forgotten Clues.